Over here at Black Girl Burnout, we are in our summer of yes. And there's just something about the summer that just feels good. So, what better time to create healthy meal habits that are actually going to last? What better time to get Green Chef, the number one meal kit for clean eating? Green Chef makes it easy to spend less time in the kitchen and more time enjoying the summer. With their new heat and eat meals, you can enjoy a delicious, wholesome meal in just 3 minutes. I use this product and you should too. It's delicious. They're really great, really easy, filled with clean ingredients, all set up to help you build lasting and healthy habits without the hassle. I love the Mediterranean options. The fish has been delicious, and it's opened me up to meals I wouldn't necessarily try on my own, and they've all been delicious. Make this summer your healthiest yet with Green Chef. Head to greenchef.com/50BGB and use the code 50BGB to get 50% off your first month, then 20% off for 2 months with free shipping. That's code 50BGB at greenchef.com/50BGB. Welcome to the Black Girl Burnout podcast. Kelly here. And today I want to talk to you about how to opt into focus, into rest, and enjoy in chaotic times. There is so much happening right now in the world that feels heavy. I know many of you feel it in your body, the tension, the exhaustion, the sense that everything is just too much. And while I'm not here to recap the specifics, because there are headlines happening in every part of the world right now that I think impact Black women, particularly whether you are in America or Africa or Europe. There's so much happening. I could spend the whole podcast just talking about that. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to pull you deeper into the chaos. Instead, I want to talk about how we as Black women can protect our nervous systems, hold on to our joy, and not lose our focus in these times. So if you're looking for a little respite from the news cycle or from the social media that's just bombarding us with all kinds of anxiety-provoking content, let this be your moment of Zen, and let this conversation be about rooting yourself and all of us together collectively in rest, in regulation, and joy. Because those things are not luxuries. They're necessities, and they are forms of resistance. And that's something I want to consistently tell you over and over again. Joy is resistance. Rest is resistance. Showing up with a regulated nervous system is resistance. It is not a cop-out. It is a way to thrive and survive and resist. And so that's what this episode is going to be about. It's going to be about how to resist with rest, how to cultivate a practice of joy, how to regulate your nervous system. And I want to close out the episode with a guided meditation, 5 minutes or less, that can bring you back to yourself, bring you back to a calm body when everything just feels like it's too much. It's unfortunate that we live in a world where these kinds of conversations are needed, this kind of podcast episode is needed, but we do. Because the truth of the matter is we are constantly being exposed to threats to our nervous system. Threats that are verbal, threats that are physical, if we're being honest, hostility in general, or just the weight of the news cycle. How often do you feel like your nervous system is on high alert, that you're living with your shoulders kind of permanently raised to your ears, or that you feel like you're holding your breath at all times? The truth of the matter is, no matter who you are, if you live in a world where you constantly feel under threat, it has a very physical, emotional, and spiritual or soul cost. That constant state of vigilance, it makes it harder to focus, harder to rest, and harder to feel joy. And unfortunately, it can trick you into believing that you're failing or falling behind when really your body is just responding to stress. There is no shortage of content that in the face of tragedy, in the face of trauma, keeps telling us to push, to move forward, to keep going. And as I've been talking about, September is really a theme to me of rest, of regulation, of resilience. Those 3 R words. That the lesson of fall tells us to actually take a step back. But when we see data saying, for example, Black women are losing jobs left and right, the economy maybe not being where we want it to be in our lives, then you take on all the political hostility and social anxiety that people are going through. There can be a temptation to hustle your way through it. There can be a temptation to keep pushing, going harder, doing more, when really your body is begging you to do less, even if the impulse feels like I should do more. As Black women, overworking is a trauma response. Doing more is a lot of our default trauma responses, particularly if we're high achieving. We have been taught that going, adding one more thing to your plate is the way you stay ahead of the drama and the stress. But the truth of the matter is, it's not true. And let's say for the sake of argument that it served you in the past, as we probably all have stories about how we pushed and got a goal done. I'm here to tell you that long-term, it probably wasn't healthy. But even today, in the reality we exist in now, it's just not feasible. You cannot hustle your way out of an economy that may be collapsing. You cannot hustle your way out of feeling unsafe if literally what's around you is not safe, does not create safety. The tools that we have been using that I would argue were never healthy tools to begin with, even the limited benefits they once brought, they don't bring anymore. And I know that to be true because I'm watching people crash out on social media trying to lose 5 pounds, doing a 55-step routine on their bodies, working longer, telling people that they should have a full-time job and be a content creator is crazy work in this economy, but also feels like maybe a necessity to some folks. That people are pushing a more agenda because they literally don't know what else to do. That's the point. And that's the thing I want to say, maybe controversially and bravely. People who are sending that message are probably not licensed professionals in mental health, and they are doing it because it's what they've learned to do. It is what they've been programmed to do. It is their trauma response, and they don't know what to do. They are crashing out, and the only answer they can give, because it's the only answer they know, is to do more. And I can say that with confidence as someone who used to be a do more, someone whose trauma response is to fight. My physiological response is to move in the presence of trauma. It is not to freeze. It is not to fawn. It is literally to do, to fight, to move forward. And so the way I interpreted always when things stressed me out, when I had a physiological reaction to stress, was to keep moving. And if that meant taking an extra meeting or exercising and developing an exercise addiction or whatever that was, it was like, things are uncomfortable, I must do. And I have spent my entire life unlearning this, and I am still unlearning it. So if you are struggling right now, what I want you to know is you can, 1, unlearn it, is that 2, there's nothing wrong with you. If you are feeling exhausted, like you want to sleep all the time, or you're feeling so anxious within your body, like you're feeling like ants crawling under your skin, or this need to move, it's your nervous system doing what it's designed to do. It's nothing to blame yourself for. Your body is responding to what it's been conditioned to respond to stress like, and it's just repeating the cycle. So there's nothing wrong with you. It is your nervous system doing what it's designed to do. But here's the good part and the good news. You don't have to stay in that place. That there are tools and skills to keep you from defaulting into doing more and more, or disassociating and freezing in a very unhealthy way. There are ways to move out of that space and into something that will help you, that will ground you, that will regulate that nervous system. And the first way we do that is the counterintuitive concept of rest. Rest is not laziness. I will say that every day until we believe it within ourselves. Rest is not weakness. Rest is refusing to let chaos dictate the pace of your body and spirit. That's what rest is. It is resistance. It is saying chaos will not win the day. I will. And I will do that by stopping, by pausing, by resting. It is the only way through is to do the opposite of what we were told, which is to fight or push or do more, or for some folks to just disappear from their lives mentally and emotionally, to withdraw, to disassociate. No. Rest is the answer. And I have talked about this at length, and I want to talk about it again. What are practical ways rest can show up in your life and practical ways to resist? It can look as simple as shutting your laptop down at 5 p.m., even when your coworkers, the world, your colleagues, your boss is screaming at you to do more. It is taking a Saturday to do absolutely nothing and not create productive rest where you're like, well, now I'll clean because I used to be guilty of doing that. Or now I'll do 55 projects. No, doing nothing. It looks like taking your phone, turning it upside down, and having a conversation with someone where you look them in the eye. Logging out of social media accounts. I know some of us were exposed to watching some people die in the recent weeks, all from just scrolling on their feeds, not even inviting it. And that can be extremely traumatic. Listening to the commentary all around us all day long, post after post after post, is compounding your trauma. Listening to creators who are well-intentioned, but pushing an agenda of hustle culture and tweaking your body and tweaking yourself and doing more. Not necessarily joyful movement or caretaking tasks, but more hustle tasks. You know the difference. Shutting that down is a version of rest. Letting your body stretch and breathe is an act of rest. It is important to develop 5 to 10 things you can do that are rest focused right away that will help you resist the chaos, resist the push of hustle culture, resist all the isms that work against us as Black women at all times of the day. Ultimately, rest is you saying, I'm not going to sacrifice myself on the altar of urgency. I am not getting pulled into this nonsense that's happening all around me that would make me feel like every day feels like life or death. Because it's very easy to consume content that will make you feel that way. But we are not sacrificing ourselves on the altar of urgency. We have made a choice. When you started listening to this podcast, you joined the opt-out movement. You said, I am opting out of struggle. I am opting out of urgency. And I'm opting out of chaos. And now is the time more than ever to reaffirm that stance by pursuing rest as resistance. The second thing I want to talk about is regulation, how to regulate your nervous system. And I want to give you practical tools on how to do that. We live in a world where at all times of the day, we are being dysregulated. It takes very little. When I train on this with corporate companies, I always use the analogy of like, you are having the best day ever. You're having the best cup of coffee or a cup of tea you've ever had. You had the easiest commute into work, the smoothest ride. Everything is going your way. You're listening to your favorite song and you are in the best mood ever. We've all had those days. And then we get to our desk or we open up our laptops or we meet a customer and they are complete jerks. Or we open an email from a colleague and the first line is like fire, and there's some emergency happening. And we all know what that feels like in our body. All of a sudden, our great mood is gone. All of a sudden, our cheer is dead. Our shoulders are up to our ears. Our teeth are clenched. We're thinking all kinds of very unpleasant, unkind thoughts. And in the snap of a finger, we're dysregulated. It is so easy to be dysregulated that it takes active work to bring our bodies back to regulation. But the good news is, as quickly as you can be dysregulated, you can regulate your nervous system. And I want to be clear, caring for your nervous system, it doesn't erase what's happening in the world. But why it's important to care for your nervous system is because it can give you the capacity to meet what's happening in the world without collapsing. Here at Black Girl Burnout, we're all about opting into ease. One way I do this is by hiring a home cleaning service. Honestly, the relief I feel when I take that big chore off my plate each week is unmatched. A clean home gives me a clean, focused mind. With my space cared for, I'm less stressed and way more present for the things that matter most. So if you've been waiting for a sign to give yourself the gift of ease, consider this week's episode sponsor, HomeAglow. HomeAglow is a top-rated home service platform dedicated to making your space clean and tidy. You can select trusted cleaners based on reviews and their experience, so you feel safe about booking and not worried at all. Take home cleaning off your plate this fall by using HomeAglow. Head to homeaglow.com/BGB to get your first 3 hours of cleaning for only $19. That's HomeAglow.com/BGB. Let's be real. One of the biggest sources of burnout for Black women is money. Whether it's debt, divorce, home buying, investing, or just trying to make it to the next paycheck, financial stress is real and it's exhausting. But here's something that can help. The Savvy Ladies Helpline. It's free. Yes, really free. You get 55 minutes with a certified financial expert, no strings, no judgment, just real answers to your real money questions. Want to build wealth, prep for retirement, figure out how to invest or navigate money after a breakup? They've got you. Savvy Ladies is on a mission to make financial education accessible to all women, and the helpline is a game changer. So if money is stealing your peace, I invite you to take one powerful step toward financial freedom. Visit savvyladies.org and book your free session today. You don't have to struggle alone. You can opt out of burnout and into clarity, confidence, and peace with your money. There is no magic tool or trick I can give you to make the world a better place. I wish I knew it. I would give it to you. I cannot physically teach you how to change what's going on around you in your world, but what I can teach you is how to meet it without losing yourself in the process. And I want to go through 3 quick practices that I think can help bring your body back to regulation when you are struggling. Just know that there'll be some bonuses coming on Substack and YouTube. So the first one is going to be breath work. So let's do this exercise together. And I'm going to have you take the biggest breath you've taken all day, and I will count us out. So breathe in. I'm going to count to 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath for 4, 2, 3, 4. And exhale for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is one exercise you can do repeatedly that will help you regulate your nervous system in a way that will bring your body back to regulation, even when things get difficult. So again, it's inhale for 4, hold for 4, and exhale for 6. The second exercise I want you all to think about is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise. You may have heard this before, where you use your senses to bring your body into the present. So that can look like, give me 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel right now, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. So what does that look like in practice? Noticing 5 things. I'm recording so I can see my microphone. I can see my phone where I have my notes. I can see my computer. I can see my headphones. I see my lotion that I really love. I think I've listed off 5 things. And then 4 things I can feel right now. I can feel my feet on the floor against my carpet. I can feel my behind against my chair. My arms are resting on an armrest of my chair. Right now, I am playing with a ring on my finger. Those are 4 things I can feel right now. 3 things I can hear. I can hear my own voice. I can also hear, unfortunately for me, construction's happening outside my door. I can hear a clock gently ticking. 2 things I can smell right now. I'm wearing perfume right now. I can smell my perfume, and I can make myself smell it by going to where I sprayed it earlier. I can smell that lotion I told you about that's on my hands. And then 1 thing I can taste. If I take a sip of the water next to me, I can taste that. Cup of tea, any of those things. So you're going to challenge yourself that when things get difficult, you do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you link them to your senses. 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. And if you don't have those readily available, this is the good news. And the challenge is to go find something to smell. Go find something to taste. Maybe it's time to get a little snack and a little nibble. But use the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method to bring your body back to the present and to put a little calm in your life. And last but not least, for this round of exercises, you think about a body scan. And a body scan is where you're going to learn to just follow your body and listen to it and try to release tension. So you start at your head and you kind of go down to your feet, and you do things like drop your shoulders. If your shoulders feel like they're inching up, let this be an opportunity for you to take a deep breath and let them fall. If you feel any tension in your jaw, touching your jaw gently and kind of rubbing it and massaging it to release tension, to let it go. Think about your stomach. You'd be surprised how much tension you carry in your belly. And exhaling, let your belly pop out. Women often are constantly sucking in their stomach, which isn't healthy. Let your belly soften and let it just be for a bit. These kinds of practices are not a waste of your time. They're not frivolous. They can be lifelines when the world gets tough. And they're practices and exercises we need more than ever. Last but not least, before we get into our guided meditation and close out the episode, I want to talk about joy and how in the face of even the worst of times, joy is its own act of resistance. And I want to remind you that joy is not optional. Joy is an act of reclaiming your humanity in a world that wants you to grind yourself down, that wants you to do more and call that ambition and hustling and goal getting, rather than what it really is, which is exploitation and abuse, leading you to really push your body to places it should not be going. The way I maintain my sanity, the way I am able to show up and do how many episodes I've done of this podcast, like 450 at this point, the only way I do that is by prioritizing joy and anchoring into it. And trust me, that does not mean that all day, every day, I am an excited, joyful person and that I am nonstop partying in my life. Are you kidding me? Y'all listened to me last year. If you were along for that journey, there was a lot of pain and anything but that. But even in the most painful moments of my life, I have cultivated joy practices that are small and sustainable. So whether it's listening to my favorite song, I got a whole playlist that like gets me going, that I listen to, that helps me, that gives me strength, that brings me joy. Whether it is taking a 3-minute dance break whether it's looking at social media accounts that are humorous, that make me laugh, or laughing with another person, calling up a friend and just giggling, like real belly laughs. These are small joy practices that are musts in my life. And no matter what's going on, I make time for them. And so I want you to be thinking about, what are your joy practices? I need you to have 5 off the top of your head. If you cannot give me 5, you don't have enough. 5 joy practices that take 5 minutes or less that bring you back to yourself and make you happy. Maybe it's choosing your favorite shower gel, putting on some perfume, a lotion you love, a song you love, doing a certain form of exercise that makes you happy. Whatever that is, I need you to list 5 things immediately. Do not let this episode end without you knowing what those joy practices are. Joy doesn't ignore the pain of the world. It just reminds you that you're more than that you are more than the tragedies around you that may be even happening to you that you're personally affected by. You are more than that. And that is its own act of resistance. This world will have you hopeless and helpless because there are very specific people who benefit from that mentality. Joy is how you resist. So if you have your 5 joy practices, here's your bonus homework. Choose one joy practice this week. Something small, something daily, but let that be an act of your protest. You all will not take my joy from me. There is not a policy, there is not a politic, there is not a person who can take my joy from me. Because when y'all get on my nerves, I'm putting on my favorite song. When life gets overwhelming, I'm going to spray my perfume and have a moment of just being mindful for that. Do not let anything take your joy. And the only way to make sure that happens is by having a joy practice. So again, step 1, list 5 things you can do that bring you joy. And make sure those practices are inexpensive or free and something you can do within 5 minutes and are easily accessible to you. And if you have those 5 joy practices, great. Choose one and do it daily. Make it small, do it daily, and protest with your joy. So as I close out today's episode, I want to do a guided meditation. I think I'm going to close out the episode first and then go into the guided meditation. That way you all can always go back to it and you could fast forward to the end of the episode and just have it. But I think it's really important that you have something to listen to anchor. If you're very new to meditation or mindfulness, it can be hard to know where to start. And there's a lot of practices and a lot of great scripts, a lot of YouTube videos. By no means am I the end all be all on guided meditation. I am not. But if you want to know where to start, I want to offer this guided meditation. But I want to close out the episode first by saying that we talked about the weight of what we all are experiencing collectively right now. We are under the weight of the world, but we are affirming, despite that, our rest, our regulated nervous system, and our joy. It is both necessary and it is our protest. So I want you to think about one practice that can protect your nervous system, one joy practice, and one rest practice. I want you to invest the time in that. Instead of doom scrolling on the internet, fighting with people who are not worthy of your time and debating them, choose this as your homework. Ask yourself, what's one way I can choose joy today? Make that your priority versus hustling more, fighting with others, or just being demoralized and depressed. And so, as always, you know how to connect with the podcast. Follow me on the social media apps. Follow me on the Substack, TikTok, Instagram. What am I missing? YouTube. It's all Black Girl Burnout. Just follow me there. Please share this episode with folks. If you feel like it's helping you, please, please, please share this episode. I would really appreciate it. We need all the people we can to be listening and learning and regulating with us. And until next week, take care of yourself, take care of each other, give yourself permission to breathe, to soften, and to rest. Now for our guided meditation helping you reclaim rest and nervous system regulation. I want to begin. Wherever you are, I want you to allow yourself to settle. If you're sitting, I want you to let your feet gently press into the ground. If you can and you're laying down, I want you to feel the surface of whatever you're laying on, the floor, your bed, holding you up. Take a slow inhale through your nose and a long, easy exhale out your mouth. Do that again. Inhale and exhale. Now notice your shoulders. Let them drop away from your ears. Notice your jaw. Unclench it. Notice your belly. Take an exhale into your belly. Release your belly and let it soften. As you breathe, I want you to imagine that each inhale is bringing in steadiness. That each inhale is holding you strong. And that each exhale is releasing tension that you don't need to carry. You don't have to solve anything in this moment. You don't have to fix or perform. You only have to breathe. Repeat silently after me, if it feels right. I am allowed to rest. I am allowed to feel joy. I am steady even when the world is not. I am allowed to rest. I am allowed to feel joy. I am steady even when the world is not. Take one more deep breath in and a long breath out. And when you're ready, if you've closed your eyes, gently open your eyes and return your attention to the space around you. Carry this calm with you into the rest of your day. Hopefully this guided meditation will help you, and you can come back to this anytime you need 2 to 3 minutes of calm in a world filled with chaos.